Hello. I'm Natalie, and today we're real cozy tonight because I want to be super vulnerable with you. We're consuming things to our detriment and feeding our ego, feeding insecurity, and feeding fear. By constantly feeding insecurity, fear, and ego, it's gonna keep you in cycles of being stuck and producing the same thing year after year after year and after year. Another year of being at a low vibrational state of depression, anxiety, of self-hatred. Another year of not feeling fulfilled because you settled in different areas of your life. Another year of drama, another year of chaos, whether that's external or internal. By feeding ego, insecurity, and fear, that's the easiest way to self-sabotage and attract the exact opposite of what you truly want. Also, I'm sorry if I'm pretty low right now. It is 2 a.m. Anywho, the first thing that comes to mind when I think about consumption is food. And I think most people do not have healthy diets. I mean, I know that my diet could be better, but it used to be much worse. So I know from experience, constantly eating only processed food, not diversifying your palate, not choosing healthier options, snacking constantly can make you feel sluggish. You might even gain unwanted weight. The food you eat affects your weight, it affects your energy levels, and it shows up in your hair, your skin. When you're constantly eating these unhealthy options, you're gonna look in the mirror and you're not gonna like what you see. It's gonna lead to these thoughts of self-rejection. And because you feel so rejected, you don't see your beauty, you don't look in the mirror and love what you see, you don't feel beautiful. You will start to do things like maybe put on extra clothes to hide yourself because you don't want other people to see that. You don't want other people to perceive you as unbeautiful. You don't want people to perceive you when you don't feel beautiful. You want to be hidden. Other ways that self-rejecting thoughts or just self-hating can affect you is that it makes you settle. It makes you feel like you're not worthy of good things. So then you settle for things that are beneath what you deserve. People, places, things, relationships, friendships, jobs, even just the way you treat yourself, the way that others treat you. You begin to accept things that are beneath what you deserve, which is your birthright, honestly. Because you feel like you're not worthy. You don't see your worth. You don't see your value. You don't see your beauty. And you think that this is how other people are perceiving you too. So you don't even try. When you continue to be in these cycles of these thoughts, this unhealthy diet, the way that you treat yourself, you'll start to think that you're not even capable of anything. It's a very slippery slope. Okay, this is the future Natalie editing the video, and what I was trying to say, food quite literally affects your mental and emotional, especially because of your gut and everything. We literally absorb what we consume. You know, you are what you eat. So if you're eating these foods that are not nutritional, they're not doing anything to your body but increasing sugar and salt levels. There's been so many studies about how certain foods, or even not eating, right, that's not a healthy diet, can raise your cortisol levels, which is stress hormone. When you're eating this food and you have this diet, like this is your lifestyle, you're going to be in low physical states, energetic states, mental and emotional states. Like, it just is what it is. It's going to make you feel insecure. Like, you're not going to feel your best. Once you tap into insecurity, that's where the slippery slope comment came from, because insecurity is nothing to play with, and it could really cause you, like I said, to settle and just trick you out of your position in life where you feel like you're not good enough, you can't do anything, you're not beautiful, you don't deserve certain things. One of the ways that you're feeding this insecurity is literally with your food, and I just want to clear that up. Another thing that we all consume is TV and movies. Now, I'm gonna be honest, don't judge me. Can you promise? Don't judge me. I literally went from 9 years old watching Disney Channel straight to Love and Hip Hop. From Disney Channel straight to Love and Hip Hop, Jersey Shore, Bad Girls Club. I freaking know. It's like, what? You were so young. Yes, Love and Hip Hop New York, okay? I was there from like season 3 of Love and Hip Hop New York. And the thing that I used to love about it was that one season would end and you didn't have to wait months, because then Atlanta would come on, then eventually Hollywood would come on. They would just cycle out the seasons. They had me hooked for years, literally till I was 19. For a whole decade, I was sucked into reality TV. And it wasn't just that, but those are really big examples. This is very problematic. Reality TV is another one of those low vibrational things, because they only focus on drama. They highlight toxic relationships, emotional immaturity, What else? Just drama and chaos. And notice that I said I loved it. I loved watching. It was like your feel-good show. It was like your dirty pleasure, right? Because there was no limit to how much you can consume it. And when you grow up in certain environments and neighborhoods and around certain people, it kind of isn't that far from your reality, right? One thing that I noticed with consuming, when you have so much of something, you begin to start craving it. So I was craving these shows. There was really no limit to how much I can consume. I could watch it all day. I can watch it back to back. I can binge every season. And at first you don't see the effects, but then you start to become addicted to dysfunction, addicted to chaos. It seems innocent, but then because it's so much repetition, it's so much of the same thing, you're literally changing the way that you think. And now you're starting to recreate it, because not only are you addicted to dysfunction and addicted to chaos, but you are now starting to adopt their thinking patterns, their behaviors. Because you're starting to think this way, you're now processing all of your experiences through this lens. So what I was talking about with TV in particular, TV and movies, it doesn't just have to be reality TV. It can be scripted TV shows and scripted movies that just focus on poverty and struggle, toxic relationships, abuse. Can I say that word on YouTube? Arguing and fighting, jealousy, and ego. It could be any show and film that just focuses on negative, unproductive, unhealthy, toxic traits, behaviors, and just trauma. What you're constantly consuming through repetition is literally reprogramming your mind. For me, constantly consuming reality TV is reinforcing whatever agenda the show has. Whether that is poor financial decisions or toxic relationships, poor communication styles, and whatever makes up good television, right? That agenda is what I'm constantly studying. The way the brain works, that's going to appear somewhere in my life, somewhere in my body, somewhere in my heart, somewhere in my mind, where I'm taking on these ideologies of what these people are reinforcing. Think about it. The news, you're constantly consuming the news that talks about the world is ending every second, all the crime that's happening. You're going to be in a constant state of fear about the economy and the crime and the weather and whatever else. Like, they have an agenda of fear. You have to be very intentional about what you are consuming to filter out what you're really taking in, and to remove yourself from TV, film, media, social media that is reinforcing trauma and just these negative states of living. Another thing that we consume is music. Now, this one could be a little tricky because music is art. Music is art, plain and simple. Art imitates reality. Art imitates life. Life is the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm never going to tell you to just ignore the bad, ignore the ugly to have this happy life, because that's not going to produce happiness. We're not team repress emotions over here. I'm very oh my gosh, very emotional. A lot of artists are loved because they're so real, they're so vulnerable, and it's so appreciated because a lot of people could relate to it. I am all for, if you're sad and you feel like the best way to feel is to put on that sad music. If you just went through a heartbreak, I highly suggest putting on heartbreak songs. Hey, if that's what you need to feel better, then that's what you need. I'm all for sitting in your emotions, and in healthy ways too, because I feel like listening to music to feel your emotions, to cry it out, is so healthy. However, and this is a however, there's a moment when enough is enough and you have to get up and you have to move forward. How is this related to music? Well, because first of all, music is the easiest. I find that music is the fastest way to your memory, into your subconscious, and that's really important. So if you're constantly hearing these heartbreak songs, these songs of being in your ego, or getting back at your ex, or woe is me, or I got that anxiety so that's why I keep it on me, you're gonna take on these ideas of paranoia. You're gonna take on these emotions. You're gonna just recreating them and reinforcing them in your mind and in your life. I think music is so important in our life. I just know people that take music very seriously and live by the things said in music. The music that we listen to and the personas and the energy that it gives literally does affect our life. I don't think I even have to explain that. You continue to listen to this music over and over and over and over and over again, sooner or later you're gonna start self-sabotage or take on the energy, the words, the feelings of this music, even if you did experience these things that the people are talking about in the song. So yeah, it literally just keeps you stuck in your ego, and that's just not healthy. And one thing I want to say about ego is a persona. It's insecurity wrapped up in a marketable way to protect ourselves and come off as, I got it, no one's ever going to hurt me. It's your survival technique. You're operating from survivor mode and ego. And a lot of people think that ego is confidence. No, confidence is peaceful. Confidence is quiet. Confidence is not prideful and has nothing to prove. You can usually tell when someone's operating from their ego. And yeah, I just think that music has a lot to do with that. With music, it is reprogramming your mind because it's repetition and it's consistent. To challenge your thoughts and your behaviors to create new ones, it takes repetition and consistency to create new beliefs so you can think and behave differently. If you're constantly through repetition listening to music about ego and fear, insecurity, heartbreak, or revenge, isolation, anger, you're going to reprogram your mind to start to filter your experience through that. In our brain, it works to create proof or show proof for what you already believe. There's also a saying, where your focus goes, your energy flows. I used to hear this all the time. You never see one white car by itself. You always see white cars together, like in a pack. So then, because that is a belief of how things go, my mind then starts to filter. It kind of ignore other things and filter, so it brings my attention to prove that that is true. What's the solution, right? What is the solution? Do we just not listen to any music, or just listening to spiritual music or whatever? I think that the answer is balance. I think that moderation is what life is all about. Life is about harmony, balance, moderation. So if you're going extreme one way and extreme the other way, I don't think that that's healthy or realistic, but to each his own. It's just a suggestion. I think that this one might be one of the hardest ones because we love them, but our friends and our family heavily influence us. There's a saying that you are the sum of the closest 5 people to you. That could be kind of scary when you really sit back and look at the people that are around. Are they happy? What do they say about work? Are they settling in their lives? Are they insecure? What are their ideas about money? When you guys are around, what do? Are you just gossiping all the time? And I'm not gonna act like we all just don't gossip. No, we gossip. But it's like, are we only gossiping? Are they more problem oriented? Or are they more solution oriented? These are the things that we have to start looking at, even when it comes to our family and our friends. And that's a hard pill to swallow. Okay. And I wouldn't be telling you guys these things if I did not literally go through this in order to start to change my thinking and to have a healthier, peaceful, more joyful life. I personally know how hard that one is. I don't want you to think that your friends and your family are bad people. I don't want you to think that you're a bad person for the way that you live, where you're operating from. You may be addicted to dysfunction. I know I was. And drama and chaos, and that was your way of living, or just living out of your ego and just very insecure and fearful. I can personally say that I used to be very insecure, very fearful, and filled with anxiety, and I used to operate heavily out of my ego, thinking that everything was happening to me and making me the victim. Okay, I'm talking from personal experience, and these are just some things that I had to look at what I was consuming. I don't think that anyone's to blame for the environment that they were raised in, or the family that they grew up around, or just the neighborhood, the environment, period, the atmosphere. But it comes to a certain point in your life, and it doesn't have to be age, because we all have different life paths, but it comes to a certain point in your life, you can no longer blame your upbringing, because you are now reinforcing these things. I'm not saying that TV, music, movies, or all these external things are the reason for your internal beliefs. That stems from childhood. I'm not blaming it on music or movies or TV or just on the people around you. However, they are reinforcing it. They are reinforcing maybe the trauma or the limitations or the negative thinking, the negative behaviors, the negative habits, self-sabotage, ego, fear. insecurity. These things may be reinforcing it in your life. And if you want to live a happier life where you feel more empowered and you feel forward movement and you're surrounded by love and good energy and positivity, then it is important to take a deep dive into your life and see what are you surrounding yourself with all the time. Where is your energy going all the time? And then once you have that information, you can say, hey, this isn't really helping me. If it's not helping me, is it hurting me? The reason why I'm making this video in the first place is because this was the beginning to my journey of becoming more confident, more positive, more present. But it's just because you didn't know, you were ignorant to it, just like I was, thinking that it's not that deep. But when you know better, you can at least try to do better. And I say try because you will mess up. I think that's the hardest part that no one really talks about, is the parts when you want to do better and you're failing at it. Even failure is just a mindset though, because you could have stayed where you were, but you chose to try, you chose to do better. And I think that that's the most important part, because if you're trying to do better, eventually that's going to impact others. I think that that's the biggest part of it. It impacts others. The way we show up, it impacts others. So it's really important to work on ourselves, not just for ourselves, but other people that we're around and we want to be connected to. I gotta be honest, I couldn't do this by myself. I couldn't go up against generational traditions and cycles by myself. I had to go to God. I couldn't do it without him, honestly. And if you pray about things and ask God for help and you genuinely want it, he would lead you to new knowledge and new information to start to reprogram your mind and to change your thinking, because that's where it all starts. It all starts in your mind. But one thing I could say is that if you're operating in your ego, it takes a ton of humility to come to God and say, I have no idea what I'm doing. Can you please help me? And really, 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 really want it. It takes humility. I'm trying to free the people. I'm trying to free us. We've been locked up too long and I'm trying to free us. I think I should call this like liberation series, because I was deep in fear and anxiety, deep in insecurity, deep in ego. And I just want to say that was not fun. Okay, learning more about God and finding confidence, having more faith, literally replacing fear for faith, has changed my life. Coming out of my ego, holding myself accountable and showing grace to other people, being gentle to myself has changed my life. I just want to give you some ideas and ways to start your journey now. And I think that a lot of people are going through this time where they're questioning what they're watching, what they're listening to, what they're eating, who they're around. For a long time, we just accepted anything that was given to us, anything that was told to us of how things went. And I think that a lot of people are now saying, I don't know about this anymore. And you're like, Natalie, okay, well, where do we go from here? I have so many videos coming up about boundaries and just self-care, self-love, just ways to create healthier habits. Leave a comment about your experiences with changing your diet for TV and food and music, and how hard it's been for you maybe to get rid of these things, or maybe it hasn't been hard. Just let me know. Let's start a conversation. Stay tuned. You didn't find this video for no reason, so make sure you're back, okay? Because I'm gonna be back for you, so you make sure you're back for me, okay? Bye.